I got the beds all done. Okay, this is really a pain in the butt because my camera doesn't have a viewer that turns around. But these are the seeds that I've got from last year and the year before. They have to be used up. There's a couple of really favorite things that I prefer growing more than anything else. This is a Ghirardelli pumpkin. Kind of like Cinderella's pumpkin. And it's the most wonderful fruit you've ever tasted in a squash. And just beautiful, and it keeps almost the whole, sorry, it keeps almost the whole entire winter. The next thing is artichokes. I dig artichokes. Randy does too. They're kind of expensive up here, so that's one of the things that you can grow them, you really should. One of the most important things to do is to label what you're planting. And these labels are great. You use a wax pencil with them. Love in the Mist, which is a nice little short blue flower. The first two! Woohoo! Again, these are old seeds, so I'm really not going to worry about how much I oversow. This little one will be savory. And I'm just going to go ahead and liberally go ahead and put everything on top. Oh, savory is wonderful. And if they come up, I can go ahead and transplant them into 6-packs, which is kind of cool. This doesn't really want to be covered with any soil to germinate. They want to have a little bit of sunlight. So all I'm going to do is go ahead and tamp the soil now that they're planted. And again, the most important thing, oops, that one's a dud. That's a good one. Savory. You have to do that right after you plant. Otherwise, I could have gotten it mixed up with this one, and then I'd have had a pot that didn't have anything in it. Okay, next thing is a variety called Kukosi summer squash. I grew this back in 2004, I believe, and it was really cool. I did it in a container, so it needed constant watering. I'm not going to do that this year because Randy and I are planning on doing some traveling. This is what the seed looks like. It is just so strange. Anyway, it looks like olive oil's nose, the squash once it's mature, I guess, is the best way to put it. This will need a lot of support, and so I'm going to go ahead and plant it in front of this trellis so that when it gets tall, I can go ahead and wrap it around those rafter beams. Because these are such old seeds, I'm going to go ahead and plant a lot. Again, I'm not going to cry if they don't come up. If they do come up, I'm going to get a whole lot of squash to be able to give away to all sorts of friends and co-workers, which is always one of the funnest parts about gardening. Voila! Kukosi squash. And as my religion, ta-da! Give it a nice tamp. I'll come over through all this and give it all a good blast of water. Next we're planting dill. This is a bouquet dill, which means it's a short variety. It won't grow to 3.5, 4 feet tall. It'll be between 18 inches and 24 inches. Anyway, so I'm going to give that a spot that is not next to a trellis because it's going to be able to do its own thing as far as standing up. And again, this is an older seed, so I'm hedging my bet, just getting rid of it. I'm only going to plant half of it because I'm going to do a succession planting, which means I'm going to do another planting right next to this in 2 weeks, and that way I'll have 2 different flushes of dill. And again, most important thing, label dill. And on this one, I'm going to go ahead and put the date because I'm succession planting, and that's 16 April. And I'm going to put it here. That way I know what is beyond that is the dill, and I don't have to guesstimate if I want to put something here where stuff has been planted and stuff hasn't. Okay, next is a special thing for the felines in the house, is catnip. And again, this is going to be fairly bushy and tall, and it's not going to need support. It's old seed, so I am going to plant it where there's not a trellis. And since I don't have to worry about succession planting, it being an herb, I can just cut it back as I need to prune it in little bush out. So it's all going to get planted at the same time. And if these don't come up, I'm not going to sweat it. This is just stuff that if I can get to come up on the 6th, that I planted on the 16th of April, then I'm going to have some really mature stuff compared to what the greenhouses and everything are going to be offering. Okay, next I have to do some flats. These are so old that I can't throw them away until they absolutely fall apart. Okay, mix it all up nice. Any vegetative matter, go ahead and pick out. You want everything pretty well composted, otherwise it depletes the nitrogen from the soil. The reason I did this flat is because I have this whole sack of sunflower seeds. And I kind of guesstimate by taking a handful of how many I'm getting. I'm only going to do a half a flat, and that way I've got them to plant to the yard, and maybe I'll even throw a couple up at the cabin. Because this is seed I harvested myself off of plants I grew, it's very questionable whether or not it'll come back. Next is chervil. Chervil is my absolute favorite herb of all time. It is really delicate and light. Goes great with fish. Let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this in front of the catnip. I only have a few seeds of it. And it is pretty bushy, so I will interdisperse them. If this comes up, I'll be so surprised. Again, germination rate on older seeds is not as good, and don't cover that up until you do the label. I have learned the hard way in my life. Now I can tamp it off. Can't stress that enough. Label as you go. Oh God, this is so much fun. One thing I know that will do really well is these pink nasturtiums. And so I'm going to go ahead and pop these guys intermittently through here. It's like in the pea family, and they like it cool, so they get what they need up here. Go ahead and just throw a little topper on there. A little moisture, good to go. Well, there you have it. The first day in the greenhouse. It is really nice. I can't wait for the rest of the season. You can see the snow still.